Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, and coinaholics of all ages? Yeah, we got the first pocket change market report for the month of March, March 2nd, 2022 to be exact. Thank you again for joining in on this video as we take a look at some of the coolest errors and varieties that folks like you and I have found in pocket change, going through coin rolls from the bank, or maybe if this is your thing, going to a local coin shop or show and cherry picking something nice that otherwise a dealer probably doesn't care too much about. But you're going to find that a lot of the coins on the list today are raw. All right, that means they're ungraded. Why spend all that extra money trying to grade a $20, $30, $50 coin when it's still going to be worth that same amount of money? Just keep that in mind. I know if you use like a company like PCGS, error attribution by itself, and that's not including the cost of the submission, it will run you $65 additional to grade that one singular coin. And through it all, you're going to tally up easily $100 in expenses just for one error coin. So the cool thing about each and every single one of these coins on the list is that they speak for themselves, right? You know what you got. You've done a little research. You've taken the time to reach out to some professionals in the hobby, and they're all over Facebook. They're on YouTube. Guys like myself and our live coin Q&A panel can certainly point you in the right direction of what you may have. Yeah, I think the theme this week is, coins that appear damaged but really aren't, all right? So there's going to be kind of like that distinction. There's going to be a few things that you're going to have to keep your eye on to really kind of legitimize your find. Because if you found one thing and it may, as a new collector appear to be damaged, well, there might be some other things you should look out for that'll help, put that coin on your side as far as a need find or value. So that's something to keep in mind. And then finally, before we jump into all of this, every single image is the original images for each eBay listing. Nothing's been doctored. I've cropped a lot of the images and mated them together just so, we have a little bit better expedited service here for you rather than looking at small tiny pictures and multiple pictures and things like that. You're going to get all the information you need from each coin in addition to the sold market values. And if they were listed as regular auctions that take 5-7 days, I'll let you guys know how many bids have accumulated to that amount. All right, so let's not dilly-dally any longer. Let's go ahead and get into the good stuff here. Starting out with our feature coins of this week. Now, the coins right here that you see, you have a Cud Cent that has some sort of mystery date. We don't know what it is. It looks like it could be a 1990s. You have a partial date there. And then you have something that looks like a Roosevelt dime, or at least in theory, right? Now, to the untrained eye, a lot of folks will look at these and say, yeah, something definitely looks fishy here. But when you turn the coins over, they look perfectly fine, Well, with exception of the Cud Cent, it's got some corrosion on there. So that coin by itself is not a spectacular example. But undoubtedly, we have two coins here with relatively mushy obverses, but extremely strong reverse strikes. These both are a direct result of what we call struck through capped die, which means the die that usually strikes the obverse of the coin actually has a coin that had stuck onto it, kind of like a beanie, and then after so many strikes, that coin, which is capped around the die, will begin to thin out, and they will continue to min out coins that have kind of that mushy surface that you see here. You do have like a partial date. It looks like a 1960s Roosevelt dime, a 1990s more modern era Cud Cent right there. These two coins together sold for $83 with 14 bids. Right off the bat, we have a number of listings from a eBay seller, Hallenbeck Coins. So you're going to see a lot of their phenomenal listings that they have, and I think they're a really good model, if not for just buying some really cool coins, but they're a really good model of some of the coins that you can find out there in change today. Now here's a 1972D candy half dollar. Again, for all of you folks that like to search through half dollar rolls for the prospect of, well, prospecting for silver, right? Because that's what a lot of people are doing. Keep in mind, there are a number of errors and varieties that are worth a lot more than some of the silver pieces that you come away with, if you find any. It seems to be that silver is dwindling by the day. More people are searching out for these as the demand for the physical metal is heightened. But keep in mind, there are coins like this beat up 1972D that you can look out for. This one is missing the FG initials. Now, to put it into perspective, this is actually the reverse. This is actually the eagle's leg with the arrows. All right, and then this area right here, here's a tail feather area. In this little area that is set a little bit lower in the relief, there should be FG initials in there. This one does not have it, nor does it have any remnants of the initials. This is a result of a braided die. Generally a little bit extra over polishing here by a mint employee will eradicate some of the finer details like designer initials. 72D is one of the more tougher dates. Now this particular example, as beat up as it was, did sell for $55 as a buy it now. So someone threw that in their cart and bought it. It's again kind of funny. That a coin in this condition can sell for so much money, but keep that in mind. If you have one of these, I would venture to guess that just adding it onto eBay as a buy it now listing is going to do you a lot more good than, say, selling something like this in a traditional auction format. I think you get a lot more money if you ask what your intentions are for the coin. Now this one right here looks like it had a little bit of an edge road rash. It's a 1961 Lincoln Memorial Cent. As you can see there at the top of the coin, that is not damage, okay? I want to stress that right now. That is in fact a ragged clip. So this is an end of strip kind of planchet. It doesn't look that great, but you know, people do collect these. And they like to collect them by date, you know, among a few other errors that we're going to see today. This one right here sold for $16 with 8 bids. So it's a really nice condition coin too. I would venture to guess that this was probably located in maybe a old bank bag of just BU 61s. And that's typically where you're going to find some of these more dramatic errors. All the way up to about the year 2005. So keep that in mind. Now here's a date of off-center strikes that you don't see that often. This is a 1950D. As a matter of fact, anytime you dip into a more obsolete era of coin, in this case the wheat cent reverse, you're going to find that these coins are going to be a little bit more desired because of that. Now this one right here is in pretty nice shape. It does have a few little problem areas. It's got the scrape right here on the obverse. I wouldn't say that's like a real detractor for the coin, but all in all, you know, pretty nice, very nice color all around. It's kind of like chocolate brown. This one sold for $105.50 with 16 bids on eBay. And by the way, every single listing is from the last 24 to 48 hours. So these are all fresh sales. Here's another one from Hallenbeck. We have a 3-coin set of curved clipped Lincoln wheat cents. This is actually a really nice lot. You have a 44, 45, and 46. So the extra bonus is that they're all consecutive dates. So if you're looking to, you know, possibly start your own collection of this type of error, this is a good starter set right here, ladies and gentlemen. And they're all singular clips, and they all have some sort of Blakesley effect, which is a flattening of the corresponding edge from where the clip is. That's a normality you want to look out for this. This 3-coin set sold for $30.98 with 4 bids. Not too bad. All right, another Hallenbeck piece, this time a 43S, zinc-coated steel Lincoln. Now this one's pretty neat, and you can make the argument that this is either an off-center strike or a broad strike, an uncentered one, because you have just enough of the edge right here where, you know, you can make that argument that it is a broad strike. But just a really good looking coin. Again, errors from this one-shot date right here of this unique planchet are quite desired. And this one right here ended up selling for $110.50 with 16 bids. Keep in mind, any sort of errors on the San Francisco minted steelies are going to command a lot more money than, say, one that is on a Philadelphia or Denver mint strike. So this is a pretty neat coin. Glad to see this one come across the auction block this week. All right, so from the same seller, here's another really neat, albeit minor, 3-coin set. These are all 1938 Jefferson nickels, and they all have some sort of strike-through or lamination issue. So the 38P you see here has a lamination on the obverse. Same with the 38, what is that, S? This is the S mint coin right here. And then the Denver will have a pretty nice strike-through on the reverse as well, right above E pluribus-unum in that area. So again, relatively minor errors, but if you wanted to, say, pick up a lot like this, where you could resell or add to your collection, this is a good one to get. Normally, coins sold in bulk will sell for less. All right, so that's kind of like the profit potentialing kind of idea here, is to buy this at a much cheaper rate than, say, buying each coin individually. This one right here sold for $10.50 with 7 bids. That seems like a pretty good bargain for this one. I think just the strike-through 1938D that you see here, it's in really nice shape too. I would say it's close to being an AU condition coin. All right, coming up next here, we have our first currency on the list. And how about a little bit of irony here? A 1976 $2 bill, star note. So I probably don't need to explain to you what a star note does or what it means at the BEP. Considering that this one was horribly miscut, you do have a a little sliver of the subsequent note on the subject sheet. And yeah, again, the irony is that star notes replaced just badly mangled, misaligned, damaged notes during production. Now, I'm not going to say that this one is personally like badly misaligned or damaged, but you know, if quality control was ever a concern at the BEP, normally they would swap this out with a star note. So checking the back, you can see that extra large thick margin at the top, and then you just see the really close skim there at the bottom. This one did sell for $60.45 with 11 bids. Again, you know, star notes with errors are always a thing online, especially on eBay. We've seen just some pretty just outlandish type of errors on star notes, and people love paying up for them, which is cool. I like seeing that part of the market. And here's another one here, 1977 $5 bill, star note. Again, it's cut really close to at the top. I would say it's just miscut altogether. You could see that on the reverse as well. But yeah, pretty nice extra thick margin at the bottom. This one, however, sold for $51.45 with 12 bids. I'd say that was 2 bills that were, you know, a pretty good flip. They're not my personal favorites in the error world, Miscuts that is. But seeing as they're stars, you know, I'd say that's a pretty solid sale all around. All right, we have a few more lots here. Again, kind of like your minor type of error types, we do have this 4-coin Lincoln wheat cent lot, all with some sort of lamination or strike-through. Not really sure what that date is on the top left coin there, probably like a 1914 or something to that effect, but we also have an 18S. With lamination on the reverse, we got 19, what appears to be a D or S with a little lamination on the obverse. And then, of course, we got the Batman lamination is what I like to call it, the 1919S. That's got the lamination. It looks like a mask going right through Lincoln's face there. This 4-coin lot sold for $25.48 with 20 bids. I would say this is probably a really good way of selling these because piece by piece they're all relatively minor. And again, as recently as a few years ago, you really had a hard time selling these for maybe $1 or $2 a piece. The market has since changed its mind on these. with just a myriad of different folks coming into it and trying to figure out a kind of like more economical way of getting into the hobby. And then from Helen Beck as well, we do have this 3-coin error lot of Lincoln Memorials. We have 2 off-center struck coins with no readable dates. So, those are what they are. And a 65 with a pretty sizable curved clip along with Blakesley effect on there. Off-center strikes with no date aren't going to command nearly the market as if they had a full date. And the big reason why is people collect these by date. So that what makes it more important. But if you're looking for a nice inexpensive lot to maybe enhance your collection or flip singularly, look no further. This one sold for $27 with 15 bids. So that's an average of $9 a coin. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of recap and review what we got here on the brand new Maya Angelou quarters of 2022. There's a few errors to look out for, and these have been out for a little while now. I would say probably about a month by now. This one has that die gouge, what they call Twig variant in the community, more specifically eBay. It's kind of like the endearing nickname that's been given to this. And it's quite brilliant, to be honest, because that eagle bird thing on the reverse looks like it's carrying a twig to its nest, and that's how it got its namesake. This one sold for $11.50 with 7 bids, which is right in that $10 to $20 ballpark that I've pegged here the last few PCMRs covering this coin. So make sure you're looking out for this one. They do carry a pretty good value. You could trade 1 quarter for a roll of quarters, essentially. That's kind of a pretty good return on your investment there. But these were also found in those U.S. Mint rolls that came from the U.S. Mint that were sold a few weeks ago. So these were being found in there. Make sure you look out for them because they do have value right now. I don't know if they're going to continue with the value. We have the new Sally Ride quarters coming out the end of this month. So you're going to have to contend with a little bit more coins in circulation, and these might kind of fall off. You just never know. Now, it's not every day that you get to cover some of the most prettiest pieces of paper money out there. National Banknotes, specifically the 1902 series, are some of the prettiest notes that you will ever come across. Okay, this is a Charter 6520 1902 $20 plain back. Okay, it doesn't have the dates, and you'll see that here in a moment. This is for the City National Bank of Duluth, Minnesota. So the charter, the 6520, attaches to that particular bank right there. Again, some of the prettiest notes that you will come across. I believe these have what appears to be handwritten signatures, which is always more desirable than the stamped ones. And you know, if you've seen a stamped signature national before, yeah, they're like night and day. You definitely want the handwritten ones. Of course, there are a number of nationals that don't have any signatures at all. We call those remainders. But the back of the note, the $20 design is probably one of my personal favorites. I also like the 50 and 100 just as good too. You know, it's nice. You have this really fancy intaglio print, offset by this huge white area here. The sky of Washington, D.C. has never looked whiter on this one. And I would say it's generally a problem-free note. Okay, you do have to look out for like edge splits, rust stains, various other stains, and pinholes. Pinholes you can't really see through eBay images, but once you get it, check out for them. They're relatively minor in terms of problems on the note. And you know, they show up when they can. A lot of people had pinned these to cork boards or stapled them to invoice sheets back in the day. That's how they did it, to show that you paid your invoice for a goods or service. This one right here, Nationals have just been fire. I tried bidding on some last night and got blown out of the water. There's just a really strong market right now. Sold for $485, which is a pretty solid amount from the state that there's just not a lot of collectors of, Minnesota, that is. And here's a $5 bill, this time a 1974 series note. You notice that it does have a little bit of a miscut here, a much wider margin up top and a skinny margin on the right side of the note. You might even have a little bit of a sliver of the corresponding note on the sheet there. And then there's a back for you, just showing that miscut. This one sold for $125. So again, another really solid sale for one of the more minor errors in currency collecting. Now here's a 25S Buffalo Nickel. One of my favorite dates to look for. Guess what? 2 feather buffaloes. That's right. So on this one, you have a third feather that's been abraded or over polished at one point. So it's completely missing on there. These are very well collected. There's a number of dates that are a lot more scarcer than a 25S, but this is also a good one here to look out for. This one realized $59.90. Someone threw this in their cart and scooped it up as fast as you could blink. They are that popular. Oh boy, more currency, more problems, right? So we have some misalignment on that third print, most specifically the black ink on that third print was not set up or registered correctly on the printing plate. So there you go. That's what we got. So you got that black district seal that's way off to the south there of where its normal placement is. The back of the note is showing very nicely. Nothing really to note here in this particular one. This one sold for $259. The market is just crazy right now. You've heard me say that, but everything just seems very expensive these days. This is a note that probably 5 years ago you could have picked up for around $100 to $150. But yeah, the game has certainly changed with a lot more interest in this particular collecting field. Now here's just a decent looking 1944S Wartime Silver Jefferson. And we have a few areas of strike throughs. So the more noticeable one, obviously, is going to be this one on the reverse to the right of Monticello. And then, of course, there's a few little small ones here at the base of Jefferson's bust. Strike throughs, happen when there's debris and all sorts of stuff that land on either the anvil die or the planchet before a coin is struck. So it'll show the impression of whatever that debris is onto the coin. It could be greased with debris and metal shavings and all sorts of other crap on there. This one sold for $22.50. Kind of literally transforming a coin that normally by itself has a market of $5 and making 4 times your money. So sometimes it would just be a much more wiser choice to just go ahead and sell it so that way you can buy something much more bigger. Now, there's no error here, but damn, this is a really nice 1931 Lincoln Wheat Cent. Not a coin that you come across in mid-state condition, all right? Oftentimes, you're going to find a lot of these that are going to be in much lesser grades. But this is an ungraded, very nice piece here, great for a typeset. This one ended up selling for a buy it now of $119.98. Now here's the other Maya Angelou little mini error to be on the lookout for, and this one also has that little die chip next to the corner of Washington's mouth. Now I've playfully kind of dubbed this one the Drooling Washington, all right? And I've talked about how Washington never really chooses food with his mouth closed. So I've cracked a few jokes at it and say what you want about this, but if you find it, turn and burn it right now, because when the new Sally Rides come out, who knows what else will be found in the new series coming out at the end of March. This one right here sold for $19.99. All right, and that's the standard for what I call the medium progression die chip. There is a much bigger die chip to look out for. We actually have one of those on the list, so wait and see what that one sold for. All right, more paper money. It's been very active this week. We have a 1995 $1 bill, and this one right here, actually no, it's an 85. 1985 $1 FRN with an inverted third print. You can see it's upside down there. And then Miscut. So we have a bunch of stuff going on with this one. Pretty crazy how this one is not graded yet, but I don't think that's going to last long. We've normally seen notes like this get sent off to PMG or PCGS currency. They don't last very long raw in the marketplace. This one right here sold for $540. One of the more splashiest errors that you'll come across if you do find one. And then how about more irony? We have a couple of 1950D $50 bills here. Both star notes with a little bit of that third print misalignment. So that's anything with the serial numbers and district seals. So you can see that this one is just so misaligned, not by much. This one at the bottom has more misalignment to the right. But yeah, look how minor these are. Both of these notes ended up selling for $204.45, which is a quick, easy, dirty 2x face value on here. I would take that all day long because outside of that, there's really not a whole lot going on with these two notes. It's also worth mentioning that these are the same districts and they are sequential, so that helps out the sale on this one a little bit. There's the back of the notes showing a little bit of wear, but not much. All right, so it's little minor errors like this that could really mean something. It's an 1859 Indian head cent. Sure, it's the first year of the Indian head cent. It's what they call the white cents because it does have nickel in it. But it's got a little bit of a strike through on the obverse. Maybe a little piece of metal or wood was struck through on the coin right above America there. This one sold for $27.57 with 9 bids. Again, here's another one of those 1969D Lincoln Memorials. This one's off-center by about 65-70%. Not a rare date, I will say that. This is one that I've seen come across the auction block a number of times in just the last 2 or 3 months. This one right here is sold for $18.02. So if it was any other date during the 60s, it'd probably sell for probably double this. And here's another off-center struck coin, this time a Jefferson nickel, no readable date, although it is off-center by about 75%. It's quite nice, very nice condition. This one sold for $65.96, which is surprising because normally that's the kind of money we see on coins with a full date that are offset about this much. So yeah, this is one of the more surprising listings from the this week's PCMR. Ooh, I love looking for these, and they don't come up that often. Now, this is a 1920 Mercury dime. Not one that normally you would come across, but maybe except in kind of like bulk junk silver lots. But this one has clash dies, and you can see that not only in the front of Liberty's face, but also behind. You have quite a bit of clashing here, right behind the neck area, and then you do have what looks and appears to be a die crack or a gouge right here, right by the wings on the Liberty cap. So pretty cool looking coin here. These typically come up on 1920s and 1930s Mercuries. Haven't found too much of these in the 40s, which is the more common date of Mercury dimes. This one ended up selling for $49.69. Which is easily a deal I would take all day long. The coin looks to have been cleaned with all the hairlines on there. Again, do not clean your coins for any reason. That'll make the coins worth a lot less. But I'm glad the seller was still able to manage a $50 bill from this with the clash dies. Just really strong. Now here's a 2-coin lot of 1999 Lincolns, both off-center. By some degree, maybe about on average 20%. And the Lincoln on the left looks to have a double profile, but that's really just the split of the copper plating, which is extremely thin. It's like razor thin. That's really a common occurrence on broad strikes and off-center strikes for the plating to come off like that and appear like a double profile. This 2-coin lot looks to be in really nice shape. looks like it came out of a mint bag. And they sold for $34.84. Not too bad. 1993 D Washington quarter with 2 clips and rather strong Blakesley effects. Okay, you can see this flattened edge right here across from the clip, which that's what you want to see, man, when you're collecting these. And this is a coin that you probably don't see come up too often. Some will look at it and say, yeah, it's damaged. Maybe they were filed away, but, under trained eyes, you'll know what to look out for. The Blakesley effect is a very important piece to this puzzle. This one sold for $28.80. And here's an 89p as well. I believe from the same seller. This one is off-center by about 15%. And this one sold for $22.30. Just another strong coin here. Pretty well circulated, believe it or not. This thing has gone through many hands as a pretty substantial error. So again, another one to keep an eye out for. All right, so we do have another Twig quarter here. The first one that we saw earlier in the show sold for about $11.50, but this is kind of like the other side of the extreme because there's quite a range on these. This one looks like it came out of a BU roll, ended up selling for $24.95, and that's kind of like the top end for these. The difference being the first coin was just thrown up there as like a 5 to 7 day auction. Those normally sell for a lot less. This one right here, the seller I think has a number of them available, and he just put it up as a buy it now. You like it, you add it to your cart, and you check out. This would be the method I would use to sell these along with those die chips. Again, more to come. Okay, we got more lots here. Incredible stuff. So we have a 3-coin error lot of Jefferson nickels. The 64D has a little bit of a curved clip. The 47S has a defective planchet or lamination. That's the coin on the bottom right. And then we also have another nickel. The bottom left one was actually struck through a late stage capped die. So that capped die was like razor thin to the point where it was striking through the relevant devices from the working die to the coin. This one right here, pretty neat. Ended up selling for $43.44 with 4 bids. Just the capped die alone would probably sell for that amount of money. It's just a really nice, very strong statement error piece out of this. So you can make a few bucks. It's not something you're going to retire off of, but at the same time, you're probably looking at this as more to add to your collection. It gives you a little bit of variety of the different errors you could come across. All right, another Steel Cent. This is a good one here, 43S with a retained Cud die break. You can see that here right at the base of Lincoln's bust. So they call these pre-cuds. So eventually, after a few more strikes, that piece of die will fall off, and this will turn into a full-blown Cud. This one has a die crack that goes from one side to the other, and it kind of snakes its way through Lincoln's jacket here. A really cool, very strong piece for this, and these are actually quite common in the Steel Cent series, not only on the obverse, but the reverse as well, so make sure you're looking at both sides. This one ended up selling for $44 with 4 bids. So there were a number of people interested in this one. Now here's another coin that was struck through a capped die. This time a little bit of a twist. The capped die had gotten so thin after so many strikes that it began to fall apart. Okay, we have a little bit of a crinkling action with that capped die to where whatever it strikes up next, it'll look like this. It'll look like hot flaming garbage. And again, this is a coin that'll trip up a lot of people. More so in part to, they'll look at this and say, yeah, that thing's beat up. It looks like a coin you would find in a parking lot somewhere. Or some would say or speculate that the coin was dipped in acid. All right. So again, the one big telltale thing for this is going to be that reverse. Look how strong and powerful that strike is on the reverse. There's just no way that this is a damaged coin at all. This one right here, pretty unique, sold for $29.50 with 3 bids. All right, we got 3 coins left, and they were all quite spicy. How about just a regular 1985p Jefferson nickel? It's got a little bit of a Cud die break here, which is a common area right above the Felix Schlag's initials on the obverse. Again, that's where we see Cuds all the time on these. This one sold for $26.05 with 4 bids. This coin looked like it circulated a little bit. So again, this one was pulled out of change at some point. It does have a little bit of a clash die on the reverse. You could see that in certain areas. So there is that, but that wasn't really the main kind of selling point to this coin. All right, another one final cool piece of currency, 1950 $5 bill, which looks like there's some missing print there on the bottom left corner of the note. Again, the irony, it's a star note. Are you kidding me? But what we ended up having here is that this one was actually a fold over. So there was a fold in the sheet prior to the first initial print of that front design. The underprint is what they call it. And yeah, you can see a little bit of that there on the reverse. You know, at some point, it unfolded itself and managed to escape the quality control department at the BEP, which is all good because this is a note you can find out there. Probably not these days because this is a much older small head design and these things are disappearing left and right out of circulation. But a pretty strong sale here at $171.95 with 12 bids. And then finally, like I had promised, we're going to go ahead and do a quick little update on the much larger die chip. This is the late stage advancement of this die chip on the Drooling Mouth Washington. This also has the earlier progression stages of more die chips on the bridge of his nose. But yeah, this is also from the same seller as that first initial medium progression chip that we had talked about earlier. That one sold for $19.99. The more advanced one, still up there. These things have not really come down in price any. And selling for $34.99, which is what I paid for mine when I bought mine. You guys saw that video. I'd done a video on a few of these errors coming out of the Maya Angelou series. But really cool. Another good one to look out for. And keep in mind, there are pairings of both the Drooling die chip and the Twig mouth eagle on the reverse. I've seen a few of them, and they are quite nice. Albeit they're priced a little bit less than this particular error on here. So another good one to look out for. It's easy free tendies, easy money to make on those. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, how about that? That's going to go ahead and do it for this one. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. That was a really cool beginning of March PCMR. A lot of good stuff to look out for. A lot of paper money. That sector of numismatics is blistering hot. People left and right are bidding on any currency that's worth a spit. But that's it, guys. Would love to hear your thoughts. Did you have a favorite today? Would love to hear about it. Don't forget to subscribe onto my channel. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Until next time, Coinaholics, best of luck in all your hunts. And we are discovering together each and every single day. You guys take care, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.